employees, and even some contractors. And so, as a result of this federal investigation, it uncovered gift exchanges that deemed that influence decisions across multiple city departments and programs. And as a result of this federal investigation, as of 2023, actually, 23 individuals, including developers, business people, city employees, were charged. And so this issue with corruption kind of basically underscores the need the passing of Prop C. It was voted yes 60%, and it basically ensures or underscores the need to enhance oversight and accountability as well as integrity in our government.
So I'll be going over about what we're going to be talking about today. We'll be talking about our purpose and mission, our goals and strategies, the type of organizational design we wanted to do, the kind of structure we created. We're also going to talk about technology and transparency, what kind of systems we're setting in place to not only collect data, but to also ensure that the public is being aware of any things that we're doing. We're also going to talk about stakeholder engagement and performance and accountability. And we will end with a brief conclusion. Next slide, please. So I'll be talking a little bit more about our mission statement. So ultimately, our mission was inspired to the web of corruption that San Francisco has had before, which Dahlia mentioned. And our mission is that the Office of Inspector General conducts impartial and independent investigations of fraud, waste, abuse, and misconduct in the city and county of San Francisco. We also want our office to be dedicated to promoting ethical governance and transparency. This would make sure that the public resources are protected, and it guarantees compliance with laws and budgets. And it also encourages accountability in city operations. Basically, through these measures, we want to maintain public trust and promote San Francisco's integrity, and that the administration is a benefit for all people. We wanted to set an authoritative and professional tone to establish credibility and let the people know that we know what we're talking about. And we also wanted to make sure that we were community oriented to further emphasize public engagement and build more trust with residents. Next slide, please. Next to Dolly.
So we also created vision and core values. And so as for our vision, it is to essentially establish the city and county of San Francisco as a national standard for effective governance through oversight and collaboration. And so essentially the following values will guide the work that the office does and the work that they continue to do. And so one is integrity. By integrity, we mean integrity through accountability. The second one is innovation, specifically innovation through creativity. The third one is respect, respect through inclusivity. Fourth one is impartiality through fairness. Fourth one is prudence through sound judgment. Another one is forthrightness through transparency. And last but not least, our last one is cooperation through collaboration. So in establishing our organizational purpose, we kind of created some official goals. And so one of our first goals is to promote transparency and accountability in city government operations. As mentioned, this whole office was actually created to essentially provide or start providing some type of accountability. So that's one of our first and most important goals. Our second goal is to prevent, detect, address fraud, waste, and abuse across city agencies. Considering also the Public Works Department that was investigated, that's another very important and crucial goal of ours. Goal number 3 is to foster strong interdepartmental collaboration to strengthen investigative efforts. Our fourth goal is to advance public trust through regular reporting and public engagement, as we will be discussing throughout this slides. And our final goal and fifth goal is to strengthen the office's operational effectiveness and organizational integrity.
So building off of what Dahlia said, we also created operative goals that were inspired by our official goals. So our first objective was to improve the transparency of city operations and decision-making processes. Our second objective is to strengthen mechanisms for detecting and investigating fraud, waste, and abuse. Our third is to enhance coordination between the OIG and other city departments to improve investigation outcomes. Our fourth objective is to increase the OIG's visibility and engagement with the public to foster trust. And our last is to improve internal processes and ensure high standards of organizational integrity.
So I'm going to talk about the organizational design. And first is the design structure. We designed this specific structure based on $775,000 annually with 8 paid team members at this time. And the additional team member is based on the pro bono attorney, which will be underneath the lead attorney. So on the top, Inspector General on the top will oversee the Office of Inspector General, and Deputy Inspector General will be leading the investigative division, which will be responsible for all investigation process, assigning investigation and reporting to status to Inspector General. We also have a legal division, a lead attorney for now, and possibly pro bono, who will be underneath the lead attorney. The lead attorney will act as in-house legal counsel. Attorney will update all legal matters of investigation and legal matters to ensure that the organization is not above the law. For audit and administrative division, we have an administrator who is responsible for overseeing all administrative tasks, including reviewing and auditing. Administrator will also oversee administrative assistant, who will assist administrator and intake internal and external report. IT specialist is handling all IT matter tasks, including software and hardware used in OIG. So on the next slide, it will be more specific to the function. So Inspector General will basically oversee the organization and will work with public-facing report, including annual report work and outcome, ensures that the organization is aligned with mission and goal of the office, develop strategies to improve operations outcome and public trust, ensure the transparency and oversee regular public reporting, and supervise the entire organization, but delegate specific workload to deputy, lead attorney, and administrator. For Deputy Inspector General, directly reports to Inspector General, but also manage the public whistleblower hotline and other community outreach program and educational outreach program for the city and the county of San Francisco, and also reports to Inspector General on investigation, not just the investigation itself, but ensure transparency and encourage public trust by engaging with community regularly. Also responsible for approving and authorizing cases to be created, closed, work collaboratively with other city agencies based on memorandum of understanding during the investigation to ensure that all investigations are controlled under the Inspector General's office. Ensure that networking with other law enforcement agencies and investigators for any case transition. And basically, the investigators will conduct investigation and gather evidences, update an ongoing investigation with Deputy Inspector General. And it is very important that investigators are reporting to the Deputy Inspector General to ensure that to provide all the detailed information to the organization. And for the attorney will directly report to Inspector General as well, but one lead attorney will be assigned to the organization, and like I said earlier, the pro bono for future. The attorney is responsible for ensuring all organizations now above the law when conducting the investigation, and also act as in-house legal counsel, handling employment issue internal inquiries, information disclosure, privacy memorandum of understanding, subpoenas, law enforcement questions, legal questions, and any other legal exercises that directly related to Office of Inspector General. The attorney will have an obligation to review and evaluation the investigation and write other components like subpoena, and the search warrants and arrest warrants on behalf of the litigation responsibility office. Attorney will work with Deputy Inspector General to ensure that law is applied to all the investigation and prepare all the legal documents for the Office of Inspector General. Audit and for audit and administrative, which will be mainly for the administrator, who will be delegated by the Inspector General. Administrator will has a responsibility to report to Inspector General on auditing and evaluating the organization in quarterly and annually basis, and to make sure that the organization is running within the funding. Also, administrator must provide the office policies like open door policies to the Inspector General within the Inspector General office to ensure that the administrator is supporting the office, and also administrator must work with administrative assistant instead of delegating all the work, because all the work responsibility is held by administrator, while administrative assistant is responsible for supporting the administrator. Also, administrative assistant will take all the calls and online inquiries of whistleblower hotline, and all intakes will be reported to Deputy Inspector General instead of the administrator, because administrative assistant will assist not just the administrator but all other members in the office. So if you see on the next slide, it looks very strict hierarchy, but basically everybody in these teams are working together. Like I said earlier, investigators are working with attorney as well as Deputy Inspector Generals are working with attorney and administrator, while administrative assistants are working with investigator and attorney for administrative needs. So, and the next one is organizational oversight.
Yes, thank you. So, clearly, we are doing a lot of really important work. So I am going to talk about organizational oversight and how we will be evaluated. So first of all, the controller's auditor will evaluate the office of the OIG. Second, the Citizens General Obligation Bond Oversight Committee. They will review complaints and review service standards and benchmarks. And lastly, the Council of Inspectors General on Integrity and Efficiency. And this is a national organization of which we as OIGs are part of, often do peer reviews, and that can happen at any time and audit at any time. So all of these standards will help us continue to do our work in a very effective and efficient manner. Also, in terms of reporting, I wanted to talk about organizational reporting. We will be responsible for providing quarterly in-person updates to the Board of Supervisors and the mayor. Conveniently, the mayor does attend the meeting the second Tuesday of every quarter, so that's when we will be providing our update. We will be providing quarterly reporting to the controller. This will be done the first Tuesday of every quarter. In case there are any issues or red flags, we can work on those before our in-person updates to the board. And lastly, we are generating a quarterly update to the public through a newsletter and our website, understanding that engagement with the public is incredibly important to maintain transparency and trust. And next, we are moving on to technology.
So I'm going to talk about technology and information system, data management. So basically, on the next, we are going to propose the internal case management. So if you see on the next slide, for internal case management, we're proposing CaseView. The CaseView is an excellent tool for internal data management to create, update, and close cases that will be stored within the internal office. Since CaseView is internal software, outsider will not get an access, as this will include all the highly sensitive information. Anyone who works in the office should have a security clearance in order to get an access to government IT system and protecting government assets. CaseView is a user-friendly case management platform that can be easily configured based on the organization. Although there is basic template given, it can be easily configured, which I will show you in a few minutes. Since CaseView is for internal case management, it will require internal database infrastructure protecting outsider to access it. And one of the best configuration for CaseView is ability with syncing and feeding data from the other database application. If there's other data interface that has a digital record, CaseView can pull them to its own database. So if you go on the next slide, we're proposing a external case management for net documents. Net, or so-called NetDocs. NetDocs is a commonly used in multiple agencies throughout the nation already. It is an excellent database management where every user can store digital records through the cloud-based system. One of the great features for NetDocs have is features of syncing with other applications. For example, if there's an email that are sent to a user, instead of saving the email and uploading as a file, NetDocs can sync and upload selected email directly into NetDocs. And like I said earlier with the CaseView, NetDocs also has ability with syncing with other applications, which means that internal case management, CaseView, and external case management, NetDocs, can work together. Since NetDocs is for external case management, case assigned user can select whomever they want to share the case with. If there are external investigator working with OIG investigator, OIG user can send the other investigator access through their NetDocs account. Also, OIG as an organization can create its own public portal through NetDocs, where the people can have access to certain case information with restriction. Probably the best feature for NetDocs is the analyzing the case, which is a great feature for statistic and analysis, and which, as it integrates with CaseView, and once, it can definitely share the information together with CaseView and NetDocs. Like I said earlier, CaseView and NetDocs can work together upon configuration. Once the case is created, once the case is created within CaseView, it creates the case in NetDocs, which NetDocs now becomes the official record storage, while CaseView is tracking the status and record for internal usage. Although CaseView has an ability to upload its own documents, NetDocs will not pull digital records from CaseView, but CaseView can pull the records from NetDocs, which makes CaseView a master over in NetDocs. So if you go on the next slide, as I said, next slide. The next slide. Yeah. So NetDocs has a feature of bridging with other applications, which is one of the best tool for NetDocs. For example, this is one of many examples, is connecting NetDocs with LexisNexis. LexisNexis is a platform for other department users for docketing and record management. For example, if OIG is waiting for warrants to be signed by the judge, instead of waiting for an approval email or calling the court, NetDocs will pull warrants automatically when the warrants is signed and upload it to LexisNexis. Which means the investigator or attorney can immediately see the signed documents through the NetDocs. So if you see on the next slide, which is the data sharing, so since OIG is strictly using the software, all the data agreement should, whomever they're working with, for example, local law enforcement or other law enforcement or other investigators, all data agreement will be through MOU, establishing standardized or specific MOU of defining data sharing while limiting certain access to external database data management, which in this case will be NetDocs. So MOU should be established with agencies like Attorney's Office, which will be pressing charges against the defendant of the case, or local law enforcement for executing warrants. MOU will establish not just who do what and who has access to what, but ensuring that all the records are kept within OIG until a assigned attorney believes that they can apply the law based on the evidences that OIG investigator found. So if you see on the next slide, this is the design of data management, and this is what we propose as a data management infrastructure system. For the most important part of OIG, OIG must have a standalone database with VPN to access VPN tunnel server to internal data management, which in this case will be the CaseView. The system administrator will give an access to OIG user by giving an access to main data server through VPN tunnel. All other will not have an access, And this is our general brief design, and it can be more complex and complicated once it's configured. So if you see on the next slide, this is how the case view management. So this is how the case view management will look like. So once, let's just assume that you turn on the case view, you will see something like this in the homepage where you see the case number, category, captions, status, and this is basically all the open cases and closed case. And once you press to click a case, just it creates a new case. And if you see on the next slide, on the top, it will automatically generate a new case number based on the sequence, which means that it is now a permanent case number. And basically fill the caption for the rest of them. In this case, as an example, will be in regards to Department of Building Inspection, and basically fill the rest of the position. And if you see on the next slide, there is an agencies. Let's just assume that report came from the hospital where they have its own equal opportunity specialist who collects the case, or other agency may report on behalf of the whistleblower. If that's the case, well, you should have that information to know where the case started from. But this is only required if it's in the external whistleblowing. And the next is the record. There are times that when there are more than one, next slide. Yeah, so there are times when there are more than reports on the same person or whistleblowing. In this case, it will be repeated and will input previous case number. In the record section, they have choice to connect with NetDocs. This is where I was talking about earlier. If it's selected as yes, it will automatically create a case in NetDocs, which will now become the official record management, record data management. And if it's selected no, it will not create a case. However, this can be updated later on. And if you see on the next slide, it's the participant. Whomever the whistleblower reported on, the name will be here. If the report is not on, if this report is not on a specific individual but a larger group or agency, there will be an option from the top with the drop-down menu for an option. And if you see on the next slide, the other participant, sometimes during the whistleblowing process, there are more than one person or more than one name of a certain cases, or there could be a more than one when investigator investigate for the case. If that's the case, then that's this can be added as ongoing investigation. And if you see on the next slide, this is a step assigned section. This is where the investigator is assigned to start the case. If there are more than one investigator, like a co-investigator, this can be added on as another staff assignment. And if you see on the next slide, this is the event section, which will be the portion of creating digital record. This is where the investigator will continue to update for internal usage through the event section. So if you go on the next slide, this is where the case is now created with the case number, caption, status, and step assigned, and category as well. So once cases, let's just say that the case needs to be updated, and if you click on the case, and if you go on the next slide, this is basically you click on participant and you click the name, and this is where you can update all the rest of the information on the participants, like gender, date of birth, social security number, and all that information. And if you go on the next slide, this is where the NetDocs comes in, very useful. Like I said, if the case is created in CaseView, you will create a case, official case in the NetDocs as well. Once it's created, there will be like every investigator has an obligation to sign documents and all other things before the case begin. And once they're in the NetDoc, if you click on a specific file, and if you see on the next slide, it will generate the whatever documents that is already in there in the NetDocs. So, for example, in this case, will be one of the statute, the conflict of interest form, and it will automatically, once the investigator signs it, it will automatically update in NetDocs, and that updated documents will automatically update in CaseView as well for internal case management. So the next slide is the transparency tool. Again, NetDoc is a great tool for many things. Using existing feature of NetDocs, creates a public portal where other parties can see the certain cases. Also, the case can be visible depending on the restriction, which means that OIG can set it up for public to see certain statistics, like a total number of cases. Also, OIG can set it up for city official where they can see more information than the total number of cases. And if you see on the next slide, this is an example of NetDocuments, how many cases are out there, how many documents are uploaded as a digital record, which user have seen which case, and who been accessing on certain cases. This can be active cases, in progress cases, or closed cases. The best feature of Net Documents for public portal is that they can select information with public before publishing it, and that is everything for the information technology.
Great, thank you. So I will now talk about stakeholder engagement, which is clearly incredibly important for our new office. And I'll start with interagency collaboration. So first of all, obviously this collaboration is essential for the OIG, as we certainly need to work closely with other agencies and offices. I'm going to focus on 3 of them, but starting with the strategies for effective interagency collaboration will be to establish clearly defined roles, define rules and structures, and actively engage with other agencies. Our mantra as the new Office of OIG is no organization is an island, and collaboration is definitely key and will enable us to have success, and really will be the only way that we can function as an organization and agency. So the 3 agencies and partners that I'm focusing on will be the Ethics Commission, the City Attorney, and the District Attorney. So we'll start with the Ethics Commission. Obviously, super important for us to work together to ensure integrity in San Francisco city government. Our roles, though, are slightly different, actually, between these 2 agencies, significantly different. So we, as an organization and agency, focus on detecting and investigating fraud, waste, abuse, and misconduct. And our investigations could lead to prosecution, versus the Ethics Commission, which oversees compliance with ethical standards such as conflict of interest laws, financial disclosures, and codes of conduct. So the Ethics Commission is much more administrative in nature. So our roles are definitely clearly defined and very different. Yet there is a lot of overlap, and collaboration, like I said, is key. In terms of collaboration, we will be working together on referrals back and forth. We will be conducting joint investigations. We will be sharing information. Obviously, communication is key. And we will be conducting cross-agency trainings. So the next will be the City Attorney. For this collaboration, very, very important to maintain independence, but certainly really important to come together around legal interpretation, investigations, and enforcement. So our role here, again, investigate fraud, waste, abuse, and inefficiency. And the City Attorney, very different, provide legal counsel to the city departments, agencies, and officials. And the city's attorney's office represents the city in cases of litigation. So clearly, very distinct roles, but again, collaboration is key, and here is how we collaborate with the city attorney's office. Certainly legal consultation, enforcement of penalties, compliance on subpoenas. It is exceedingly important that we work very closely with the city's attorney's office on that issue. We do share evidence, and we work together, and the city's attorney definitely helps with assisting on settlements or negotiations, and clearly around representation and defense. Lastly, our other exceedingly important partner in all of this is the district attorney. So we focus on investigations and prevention, and the district attorney handles legal proceedings for criminal matters. So clearly there, a very distinct difference in our roles. So we conduct investigation and audits, we gather the evidence, and we bring expertise in the auditing and the financial analysis and really looking at program operations to uncover wrongdoing. where the district attorney's office prosecutes criminal cases on behalf of San Francisco and really determines whether evidence presented by our office supports criminal charges. But again, it is super important to work together. I mean, these puzzle pieces need to fit together in order for us to have success. So again, it's around referrals, again, sharing of evidence. We do participate and are looking forward to participating in joint investigations with the district attorney's office. And often we serve and help them as expert witnesses in their cases. So next I'm going to talk about engagement strategies. And these involve how to build additional engagement with those agencies that I talked about earlier. So certainly we have plans around engagement. One is holding a series of one-on-one meetings with each department head. The second is hosting lunch and learns for staff across all levels. This is as everybody knows, this is a brand new position for the city and county of San Francisco, and we are eager to publicize what we do and what the benefit of our office is and how we can help the city. Next, certainly cross-training staff to experience shared experiences and learn from one another. So this will be hopefully across all departments. That is our intention. Next is as Chi mentioned, the data sharing is super important. And, you know, the safety and the integrity of data is of utmost importance to us. And lastly, really important to celebrate success. It probably doesn't happen enough in city government, so certainly we will be working on strategies to celebrate success. Next, I wanted to talk about rules and structures. So again, even having this collaboration is super important, but without rules and structures, things could go awry. So one of the really important pieces is creating memorandums of understanding, or MOUs, with each agency. And you know, this would really establish shared goals, but also our individual roles, the way we communicate, protocols, responsibilities, and certainly anything to do with data, as Chi talked about earlier. And then next, certainly an oversight committee with members from each agency. And this would be important to really settle any unforeseen situations that arose, that things that were not addressed in the above MOUs. And lastly, create a joint task force to review high-level or complex cases. So we have rules and structures in place. We have our engagement in place. And though that is with, you know, our stakeholder agencies. Next, I'd love to talk about engagement in regards to the public. So this is a little different, right? This is more outwardly facing versus inwardly facing to different city departments. So here, you know, just a couple of interesting quotes, but to ensure transparency, accountability, and trust, our office must interact openly with the citizens of San Francisco. Again, that's really our mantra as we open our new office. We know that transparency, accountability, and trust has to be of the utmost importance and really our main focus. So this fun quote, general public opinion influences the management of public organizations. So we really want to make sure that, you know, we focus on the importance of public opinion. So one of the things that we are doing is initially assuming responsibility for management of the current San Francisco City Whistleblower Hotline. And with this, we are having a staff person assigned as we talked about earlier, to monitor and triage complaints. Certainly, in terms of letting the public know about this, focusing on publicizing more broadly throughout the city and county of San Francisco. And one of the things we will initiate immediately is include this in all of the HR orientation materials throughout the city and county, so that everybody is aware. And this is brought to the forefront, the option of the whistleblower hotline as well as the protections. And then next, within the first 90 days, we will launch our Office of Inspector General website. And on this website, we will be publishing regular weekly updates. We'll highlight our policies. We'll include an FAQ page. And here we'll also include some whistleblower information, including, like I mentioned earlier, protections. And one of the biggest, most important thing is offering easily accessible contact information. So, really simple and easy to understand. So submit a complaint, contact us. Here's where you can find information on whistleblower protection. And also within the first 90 days, we look to establish a quarterly e-newsletter. This is really important for public engagement, really so that, the city and the citizens of San Francisco know what we're doing. We report out on our audits, investigations, and evaluations. We provide resources to educate the public about their rights, and certainly again, really highlight that whistleblower reporting and protection. Lastly, around engagement with the public, we will be focusing on community engagement. One of the things we will start as soon as we enter office is host public forums in each of the San Francisco districts, really so that we can let everybody know the value of our office and the work we will be doing on behalf of the citizens of the city. Host annual town hall meetings at City Hall. We will be hosting biannual online webinars. And we will be engaging with stakeholders via surveys to understand concerns and priorities. So this public survey piece is really important to us, as it's a really great way to receive feedback from our stakeholders. And that's it. I'm moving on now to evaluation and adaptation.
So before we begin introducing our performance measures that we created, part of the evaluation and adaptation process for those measures will be the evaluations that of resources that we as the Office of Inspector General put in, so that afterwards we can make adjustments accordingly, basically after our first year of being an established office. So with that said, the resources directly influencing our office's capacity to fulfill the missions, the values, and the goals that me and Kelly previously talked about are, one, the total positions we've established to support the Office of Inspector General, including positions like the Inspector General position itself, Deputy Inspector General, IT specialist, and etc. The second one would be the total number of volunteer hours and staff hours supporting our office to support our internal operations. So these include reporting preparation, the conducting of investigations, and even the gathering of evidence. And the third one would be the $775,000 allocated for paid staff. This, of course, is the proposed budget, so that may need to be adjusted or adapted to later on, and as well as the $125,000 designated for the office setup. So that includes equipment, supplies, the initial infrastructure, and other things like that. And last but not least, the 1,000 to 20,000 per operational process, and this does include litigation, search warrants, and subpoenas. Moving on to evaluation and adaptation. These are actually our performance metrics. So although we've discussed some of them throughout the entirety of our slide, the ones that weren't so actually highlighted, I would say were the number of investigations completed. So that was one of our one that we decided as a group to actually have. And so we essentially came up with total number of investigations concluded with a specific focus on effectiveness to specifically address the allegations of fraud, waste, abuse, and corruption that we talked about previously. And so here our target would be to basically have no less than 5 outstanding cases within our first year of being an established office. For our second metric, we came up with the ratio of legal matters initiated, including subpoenas, search warrants, or even referrals to law enforcement, to the total number of cases under investigation. So here, our target would essentially be to have a ratio where at least 30% of all ongoing cases, ongoing investigations result in the initiation of legal matters. And our third performance metric would be the total number of days taken to initiate and complete investigations that address allegations of, again, fraud, waste, abuse, or corruption. And so here our target would be to essentially complete a minimum, or at least a minimum of 80% of investigations within the first 6 months from initiation to resolution, ensuring that we build a capacity for a timely response to allegations of misconduct.
Dahlia, would you like me to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
So in order to properly evaluate and adapt, we need to apply feedback loops. And apart the ones that were already mentioned, we also wanted to add stakeholder feedback. We can send surveys and questionnaires and distribute these surveys to government agencies, employees, and the public in order to get feedback on the activities and investigations and any reports that we're doing. We also want to conduct stakeholder meetings to make sure that key stakeholder groups are providing insight on ongoing investigations and being able to have recommendations. Another is public input. By doing town hall meetings, we could host virtual or in-person meetings where the public can share concerns and suggestions directly with the OIG leadership. We also want to do transparent reporting and updates. As we said, we were going to publish things quarterly just so we're not only transparent within the administration but also the public. Another idea is also we could create an app to help create data to show the status of investigations and actions that have been taken in response to that feedback. Fourth, we have our collaborative partnerships. We can collab with nonprofit organizations and academic institutions. We could also have pilot programs within these groups to test and refine innovative strategies based on public needs. We also have a continuous improvement framework, which is basically the quarterly reports that we're doing, making sure, that we're really onto that and we don't slack. And lastly, we have accessible communication, basically being able to have anonymous reporting systems to make sure that it's a user friendly, especially for whistleblowers and the public. And one last thing about multilingual resources, we want to offer materials and channels that provide this information in multiple languages, just to make sure that everyone is aware about what we're doing. And next slide, please. And I just wanted to end with a few key takeaways about the OIG's establishment. It basically marks a pivotal step towards rebuilding public trust in San Francisco's government. To guarantee honesty, openness, and responsibility, this new administration needs to blend innovative technology and thinking to have a strong organizational structure. Overall, it's important to emphasize the importance of ongoing community involvement and interagency collaboration to sustain OIG success. We need to encourage public participation through community meetings, whistleblower programs, and just have proper feedback mechanisms. In conclusion, the OIG is more than just a response to the past wrongdoing. It's a forward-thinking program aimed to San Francisco's governance in the future. This project shows the city's ability to commit to ethical governance, resource efficiency, and public trust by combining effective organizational design, advanced technology, and strong community engagement. This administration can ensure accountability and transparency in these governmental operations. Next slide. So I just want to thank you for listening and enjoy.
Thank you.
And then that would be it, right? I think we did 40 minutes.
No, it was
Because we
40.
started 8:58.
No, it was, I
No,
recorded.
8:48.
I recorded it on my phone, and it was 47 minutes.
I think that's fine.
That's great.
I got 47 and 42 seconds.
Yeah, I got 47 and. Okay, did you record it?
I didn't.